Karibu sana mpenzi msikilizaji, dau la wikendi. Bila shaka umekuwa naye mwanahabari mwenza Omar Abud ambaye amekuwa nawe tangu saa 1 asubuhi ambapo ameweza kuchambua magazeti kuu hapa nchini ikiwa ni Taifa Leo, Nation Newspaper pamoja na Standard, kisha baadaye akaweza kuchambua hapa na pale yale ambayo yamepatiwa kipao mbele ama habari ambazo zimegonga vichwa vya habari kuanzia jana mpaka leo. A very good morning, a lovely morning everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode this morning of Dau la Weekendi here on IQRA FM. Kama unavyojua mpenzi msikilizaji, mimi nafahamika kama Simba Jike Baharia au Ramla Abdi Ahmed, and today we have a truly special treat for you all. We are diving into a topic of love, of marriage and resilience, and who better to join us than a couple who have not only survived but thrived through the ups and downs of marriage, inspiring thousands, if not millions, of others along the way. Today we are honored to have you with us, Rufus and Jenny Triplett, marriage experts, authors and passionate advocates for building strong, lasting relationships. They've been through it all together and they're here to share their personal journey, their challenges and their wisdom with us today. In Kiswahili we say, karibu sana.
Asante.
Good one. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.
Asante. Oh, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
Rufus and Jenny, welcome so much. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks so much for
appreciate you having us.
Yes, thanks so much for having us like halfway around the world.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, we here now.
To start us both, your book, it's an inspiring story. For those who may not be familiar with you yet, can you maybe take us back to the beginning? How did you meet? We can start with you, Jenny.
Oh, she want to go back.
Go way.
She want to go way back.
Yeah.
She want to go way back.
Jenny from the block.
She want to go way back in the day. Okay. Oh my gosh. All right. Without telling my age. Yeah. So, yeah, we met when we were 16 years ago, and we got married when we were 21.
Mashallah.
So we married at a young age, and marriage was difficult. We don't sugarcoat like
Difficult
the.
ain't even a word for this.
Yeah, we don't sugarcoat the marriage journey. Our first year was very difficult, and I just say we're here still here to tell a story. Yeah, 36 years later, we're still here to tell the story.
Mashallah, 36.
36
That's
years.
a big number.
Alhamdulillah.
Mashallah. So what they usually say is that communication is often said to be the key to any successful relationship or marriage. How do you both ensure that you keep the lines of communication open, especially during times of conflict or stress? Because what we understand is most of the time when you're conflicted about a particular issue, people usually choose to be quiet, to give kwa lugha ya Kiswahili mpenzi msikilizaji wanasema unanuna pale ndani ya nyumba. You keep quiet for a period of time until the other party actually decides to bring up the conversation. So I don't know how you guys usually...
Be quiet if you want. You better speak your mind. Hey, but I mean, what I've learned is, again, we used to do the be quiet thing. We used to do that, don't say nothing, it won't get that bad. No, speak your mind so you can get it on out. So y'all can deal with whatever issue it is. You won't be building that stuff up in that relationship. That's what we did. That was the wrong way to do it. That's why we said we still here. I don't know how we made it, but we still here. But because of what I've learned, if that's what's in the book, everybody don't have to go through that. But you can go through it if you want to. If you want to go to if you can be hard-headed, or you can listen to somebody who done been through it and try to make it a little bit better for yourself.
You know, communication is different for everybody. And this is why we say, because we've spoke to so many different couples, we've counseled couples, we've traveled around the world. We've spoke to so many different people. Communication looks different for a lot of people.
Everybody.
So we give the general tips. For communication, for some people is yelling it out. You know, getting it all off your chest. Nothing gets resolved.
Better yell at the wall.
But that's their form of communication, is to yell and to just get it out. Some people's form of communication is to be quiet, is to be silent, is to turn away, not to even discuss it, not to even, talk about the issues or anything like that. So communication looks different. Our form of communication and what we try to tell couples is that if you don't talk about it, the issue doesn't go away. You could sweep it under the rug as much as possible. You need to learn how to communicate. When you have a failure to communicate, that's when, your marriage ends up having problems. And then you go on. We talk to couples 15, 16 years down the line in marriage. You would think somebody 15, 16 years, especially in a Muslim community, you would think somebody 15, 16 years is good, right? 15, 16 years, they're having problems because they didn't talk about the issues that happened at 7 and 8 years. They just swept them under the rug and just, let it keep going.
Thank you so much for that. Bila shaka mpenzi msikilizaji, kitu ambacho anazungumzia hivi sasa mgeni wetu ambaye anasema ya kuwa wakati ambapo inafika kuhusiana na masuala ya mawasiliano ni kuwa wakati ambapo kuna shida yoyote baina yenu, muhakikishe ya kuwa mumeizungumzia ile swala badala ya just sweeping it under the rug. Hakikisha ya kuwa kama mtu amekukosea kwa jambo fulani ama lile, unazungumza naye ili mradi msonge nyote wawili kwa umoja mbele. Thank you so much for that. But you both talk about the importance of growth in marriage. The biggest issue at the moment is that most, let me call them Gen Zs especially, they're afraid of marriage because one partner will usually feel like they are the ones who are entitled to growth and the other one is not entitled to growth. How do you stay connected and keep evolving as a couple while still honoring each other's maybe individuality? Because I believe that everyone is different. Even once they come into the relationship, you have your own goals, you have your own ambitions, as your partner also has their own goals. And how do you actually bring them in together respectfully and build each other to grow?
Girl, Gen Z's done lost their dang old minds up in here. What you do? What happened with my marriage is I went back to old school. Allah didn't change marriage. We can't change it for what we want it to be. We have to follow the rules. So the old school people who kept their marriages together, that's where I got my wisdom from. Mm-hmm. That's why I went back to them. Well, how'd you work through that? How'd you work through her not doing this or doing that? Most of it was about patience, which is what Allah tells us. So it went back, a lot of things that marriage that we deal with each other, especially Gen Zs now. Gen Zs is on some different stuff. But you got to go back to the old school. Mm-hmm. If you're not going to go back to the old school, you're going to try to reinvent what Allah has already created. I think you're crazy.
So what do you mean by going back into old school? Because what I believe is, back in the day, our parents, for instance, if I speak about my parents, is that they didn't go through school. They were not educated, okay? But with our generation, especially the millennials, our parents worked hard so that they can take us to school so that we can make a future for ourselves, right? Back in the day, a man used to provide 100% in the marriage while the woman stayed at home. Mm-hmm. But the now woman actually goes to work also.
What I find that so interesting, and I have something to say in regards to the Gen Z thing, but what I find so interesting is that we travel around the world. We've spoken to people around the world, and it's the same issues.
We all got the same problems.
We are in Kenya. Mm-hmm. We are in Nairobi, and we are talking about the same issues that we talk about in the U.S., in the United States. It's the same issues. But as far as the Gen Z, now, when we got married, because we got married at 21, we would be considered the Gen Z of that time. Mm-hmm. That would be the age of that time. We had to learn how to grow together. I had my hopes, dreams, and aspirations, which it included being a wife, but not necessarily maybe the vision that he had as a wife. Mm-hmm. But he had to remember why he married me. He didn't marry me for my cooking. Okay, you know what I'm saying? He didn't marry me for that. He wasn't marrying me for that. So my hopes, dreams, and aspirations, we had to learn how to acclimate the vision. Because if everybody comes into a marriage, I, where's the room for we? Where do you grow? Where do you build? And when you learn and see what a marriage is supposed to be, what Allah has made a marriage supposed to be about. It is to help each other into the IQRA. It's for your IQRA. It's not for the life of this world. It's for the IQRA. That's what you're supposed to grow and build into. But a lot of people with the I, that's for the life of this world.
Well, no, we act like our parents didn't go through some things. We act like our parents didn't have to learn each other. So when we do old school versus new school, it's the same thing. They had to learn how to live together, to get together, to make decisions together. So, I mean, it's the same thing, really. Again, I don't see no difference. So when you're talking about Gen Z, and I know Gen Z thinks different because I'm dealing with them in my life.
Exactly.
But it's still, you got to go back to old school when you talk about marriage. And when you said, when you was talking about your parents still had to learn each other. They had to learn how to communicate with each other. Well, how me and my wife communicate with each other and deal with each other is not going to be the same as how your parents dealt with each other.
And your parents building the way that they did to make a better life for you was that learning and that growing together. Once again, if you're not learning and growing together, what are you building for your children? If you're just building for yourself. We raised 3 boys. Alhamdulillah, they're doing the thing. So we had to learn to build together to make a better life for them. Just imagine one person building for their children.
Well, you can build now, and you might have the life that you want, but you might not have your marriage. Somewhere in your marriage got to fit in with whatever your ideas are.
Yeah, and also, you think about it, there's a lot of people our age wishing they had a marriage, wishing they had a companion, wishing they
work through them hard times together.
Exactly.
Because you're going to go through some hard times with somebody, whether it's the person you're with or the next one coming up. You're going through some hard times.
And we ain't getting no younger at this big age. So
we ain't getting no younger.
That's right. We ain't getting no younger. And they don't have that person to grow into old age with because they haven't built. They haven't done anything, to have that relationship.
Dakika 33 zimetoweka baada ya saa 3, mpenzi msikilizaji. Bila shaka ilikuwa swali nzuri sana na imeweza kuonyesha jinsi gani watu wanahitaji kukua na kubaki wakiwa na muunganiko mazuri katika ndoa. Kwenye ndoa, mpenzi msikilizaji, wanasema kuwa maelewano ni muhimu na ni rahisi kupoteza mwelekeo au kujisahau katika kujaribu kustawi pamoja kama wanandoa. Kama vile alivyosema dada yetu hapa, ni kuwa growth ambayo inajulikana kwa lugha ya Kiswahili kukua ni sehemu muhimu ya ndoa. Hata hivyo, ni muhimu pia kujua jinsi ya kuheshimu na kuenzi utofauti wa kila moja na kuendelea kumtunza mke wako au mume wako. Kuhusu swali lako, swali ambalo tuliweza kuuliza, how do you stay connected and keep evolving as a couple while still honoring each other's individuality? Hapa wanasema ya kuwa mawasiliano ya wazi na ya kudumu ni muhimu sana, na pia vile vile kutoa nafasi kwa kila mmoja kukua kivyake, kufurahi na kuhamasishana katika mafanikio, kutumia muda wa pamoja na kuonyesha upendo kwa vitendo. Mpenzi msikilizaji, shukran sana. You've also written a book, Surviving Marriage, a journey of love, a journey of loss, and a new beginning as well. Can you tell us maybe a little bit about what inspired you to write this book and what readers are actually saying about it at the moment after reading it?
Well, we decided to write the book after we had been married 20-some years before we even decided to write the book, because before that, we couldn't give no advice. I don't understand how.
I'm still trying to make it.
I don't understand how these relationship experts are giving advice. Ain't never been married,
10 years,
been through.
You don't know enough for 10 years.
5 relationships, or I haven't been married. Because trust me, until we got to about 20-some years where we started getting to the smooth spot, we couldn't really give people advice as far as that was concerned. So we wanted to write it.
Oh, I told everybody leave her right where she at. Just go.
We wanted to write it from that perspective of expertise, because we had been through some things and we had kept hearing so much whack advice out there in regards to how to survive a marriage or maintain a marriage, and what people were saying. So that's what we did. We were about 22 years into our marriage. We wrote the book. We put it out, and pretty much the rest is history, because we had no idea that it was going to take off the way that it did. I actually posted how it was selling around the world, because our book has sold around the world. It's sold here in Kenya. People were buying our book in Kenya, in all the Gulf states.
Put it in 4 different languages.
Yeah, it's been translated into 4 different languages. I guess we need to get it in Swahili now. That might help. Yeah. Okay.
It will help a lot of people. We usually have a program called Women's Corner every single day, and there's a specific one that talks about marriage, the ups and the downs and everything else. Maybe it's a book that we should include once it's translated in Kiswahili.
Oh,
Inshallah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Inshallah, absolutely. And and so we've been hearing the feedback from people around the world, from South Africa. It's all in all the Gulf states, in Saudi, Dubai, the UAE, Egypt. It is around the world. We are in awe of how Allah has allowed this book to allow us to travel around the world, to speak to people, how it has sold around the world. It is so amazing, interesting to us, because we think about it. We were just sitting on our sofa at home, kicking around marriage advice, looking at people putting out, I ain't gonna drop no names about some whack marriage advice, but people talking about marriage, putting out marriage advice, and we're like, that's not it. That's not right. That doesn't make sense. I was like,
how long they been married?
Right. And not knowing anything about the book game. We didn't know how to put out a book or anything like that. We self-published. I mean, it's sold over 500,000 copies, and it's a gift from Allah that keeps on giving.
Mashallah. You know why I asked that question specifically is because marriage advice is everywhere. People
Yes.
will tell you
Girl.
this.
Yes.
They will tell you that. This is how it works. This is how, if you do this, it will not work. If you do this, if you go into this direction, you're going to stay for a very long time. But not all of them are practical or realistic. You can agree with that, right?
Oh, absolutely. And this is why we
Girl,
tell...
that's a facade they be giving.
Exactly. This is why we tell people that our experience allows us to talk just not from our marriage, but from the couples that we've counseled. Because when we put out the book, people flooded to us for counseling, for marriage counseling. So, and we've counseled probably more Christians than we have Muslims. It's been a lot of counseling that has gone on. But not only that, being able to be in places, Paris and London and Cuba and Bucharest. We were in Romania, and speaking to people around the world about the marriage issues, and here in Kenya, and it's the same issues. People are people. Humans are human. Marriage
Don't matter what language you speak.
Exactly. Marriage is marriage. You're going to have those problems. So we try to give universal advice that is practical, and not something that's totally over the top that somebody can't necessarily relate to. So,
Well, I'm going to tell you, one of the biggest things I saw with advice was giving people advice that happened in your relationship. Not that everybody going to go through everything that you did in your relationship. I can't give you some things that happened with me and her, so I'm not going to give that to you. But people will give that advice anyway. It's not going to help nobody, but hopefully it'll help you.
And let's
But
see.
don't you
And
think, like, most of the time, these problems, especially in marriage, usually are similar?
they're very similar. That's what I'm saying. I like to give examples. That's what I'm going into. I love to give examples because we've talked to so many people. Let's talk about money, because that is a big one, right? Let's talk about money. One of the problems that we have with people come and talk about money is the partner or the mate being abusive with money, stingy with money, and different things. I can't give from that perspective because I can't give advice from that perspective because my husband is very generous. I don't have a problem with that. This man would give me the world. He would go out. If he could go and buy Kenya, he would, and give it to me. So we give the perspective.
What in the Lion King going on around here?
So we give the perspective of how a marriage is supposed to work. And of course, we relate to Quran and Sunnah, with a lot of our advice and how it's supposed to go. But we also get to know the people that we're giving advice to. If somebody comes to us with a specific question, like we'll get a lot of inboxes on social media, and I'll tell the person, I need to speak to the other party. I need to speak to your mate because I can't just take your view or your side.
Yeah, but we're gonna listen.
Yeah.
We're gonna sit there and listen for the first 4 hours. Cause I'm trying. I gotta get to know where y'all mind at.
Exactly.
I can't come from my perspective. I gotta come from where I feel you at.
And you always hear there's two sides to every story. With us, there's two sides to every story, and then somewhere in the middle, there's the truth. So what we do is we get to the truth and the heart of the matter.
Well, sometimes that one side be the truth. The other person just don't want to hear the truth.
That's true. That's true. And then we try to give the advice from that perspective.
So apart from money, what is the other problem, most common problem that
leaving people alone? Sometimes you got to just leave people where they at. Mm-hmm. Remember, Allah says He guides. We can't guide nobody.
Yeah, everybody is not in the same place in their deen.
No, what I meant is, what is the other common problem apart from money that marriage couples are facing?
That's the
problem.
problem.
If we're talking, do what you want them to do.
But if we're talking about Muslim couples, that's a problem. Everybody is not in the same place in their deen. Mm-hmm. Everybody is not. Mm-hmm. You got some place, 1 foot in the dunya, 1 foot in the deen.
I mean, if you're not talking about deen, the thing is, you can't. Sometimes it's okay to walk away from a conversation. Come back to it. We're going to revisit it because it still got to get worked out. But some people don't know how to walk away. Leave it alone for a minute.
Yeah,
because you can just keep burying that person, and now you're finna have this big old explosion.
And then trying to change people from who they are, or what they do. Some people are so pragmatic and they have their routines and they're into what they do, the way that they dress, the way that they talk, the way that they go about their life. And then you come and try to interject and say, no, do it this way.
Once we get married, you can't do that no more.
No, this is, constantly trying to change that person. Instead, that's not growth. That's control. Mm-hmm. So
right off the rip.
Yeah, someone who is trying to grow doesn't need to be controlled. They need to figure it out for themselves.
Mm-hmm. Bila shaka mpenzi msikilizaji, uko nao wageni ambao wameandika kitabu ambacho kinajulikana kama Surviving Marriage, jinsi ya kusurvive hii marriage ambayo hivi sasa imekuwa kizungumkuti kwa wanandoa wengi. Amezungumzia masuala ya pesa, money. Anasema money is the biggest problem. Hasa kwa wale ambao wameweza kuzungumza nayo. Ndoa si rahisi mpenzi msikilizaji, lakini ni jambo ambalo linahitaji juhudi na kujitolea kutoka kwa pande zote mbili. Hali ya leo mpenzi msikilizaji, ambapo dunia inabadilika haraka na changamoto za kijamii na kiuchumi zinavyokuwa, ni muhimu zaidi kwa wanandoa kutunza hiyo mawasiliano, communication, na kuelewana ili kuendelea kudumu. Kama walivyosema, kila ndoa inakutana na magumu, lakini ni jinsi ambavyo tunashughulikia changamoto hizo ndicho kinachojenga au kubomoa hiyo uhusiano. Mpenzi msikilizaji, wanazungumza busara bila shaka. Wageni wetu ambao wanatoka what state do you come from in the US? Georgia. Wanatoka Georgia kule Amerika, mpenzi msikilizaji, ambao wameandika toleo cha kitabu chao Surviving Marriage, jinsi unaweza mpenzi msikilizaji kung'ang'ania tu ama kuilingania tu ile ndoa yako. How to overcome most of the problems that are being experienced inside marriage is what they are talking about. You've both been marriage advocates, right, for a very long time?
Yes.
When did you start exactly?
Yes. When we
after the book?
No, where people looked at us at our marriage as an example before we even wrote the book. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But then after the book, it just got elevated to another platform. Mm-hmm. It catapulted to another platform. Mm-hmm. So we champion marriage.
20 years.
Yeah, we champion marriage. We want couples to win. We want couples to succeed in marriage because Allah loves marriage.
True. It's actually completing half your deen.
It's half our deen.
I don't like divorce, just like he don't like divorce. So again, that's just me putting my 2 cents in to try to keep us married. Because we get divorced because we can't communicate. We get divorced because we don't want to listen.
What happens when it actually reaches a point where this couple is not working anymore? Are you in a position to actually advise them to
get out,
go their own way?
See ya. Walk out the door.
Well,
Peace.
two things we do not advocate for, sis. Even though we talk about surviving marriage, people, when they hear surviving, they think just the worst.
They think everything.
Thick and thin.
Yeah,
No.
we
Because
do
you know,
not.
here in Kenya, I'll tell you very simple. Okay, not in Kenya only, even in the African homestead is that most of the time the girl child will be told it's a taboo, it's an embarrassment to actually get divorced. So what we experience, especially in Kenya, is that because you want to stay intact in that marriage, you keep on destroying, especially your mental health in due time. And once kids are involved in that marriage, is that for a woman especially, now you don't have love in your heart to actually give these kids. Yes.
I can believe that.
Two things we do not advocate for. Number one, if there's abuse,
Somebody hit you, run. If they hit you once, they gonna hit you again.
Get out.
See ya.
Get out. Quick exit. Find an exit plan. We do not advocate for abuse. We don't play that. Homie, don't play that. We
I
don't
ain't
play
slapping
that at
nobody.
all. That's right. You keep your hands to
I
yourself.
sure do.
This man don't hit me, baby. Woo, if this man
But we don't do abuse. I never tell somebody
Yeah.
to stay
Oh
in
my
an abusive
God, this
relationship
man.
because that's going to mess with your mind. That's gonna mess with a lot of things. So I would never want and oppression.
Yeah.
A lot teaches us against oppression. So that's part of oppression.
That
I
is,
would
yeah.
never tell nobody to stay in an oppressed situation. Not even
Yeah.
my own wife. If
Yeah.
I
And
would,
then-
girl, believe me.
And secondly, we advocate for premarital counseling. There's a lot of things that can be
Just
cleared
jumping
up
into marriage
before
everywhere.
you get married. Before you get married, we truly advocate for that. Like, go and talk to somebody. Know your rights. For the sisters, know your rights. Know what you can put in a marriage contract. There's a lot of people who don't even know that, things that you can put in a marriage contract to hold someone accountable. Now, we believe in a village. It takes, they say, if you guys believe in villages, it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to nurture a marriage. And you have to have the right community,
Having a good
and
community
people
around
you.
you.
Let's talk a bit about social media because we have around 7 minutes before the show comes to an end. I know it seems very little time, but
Yeah.
I'm glad that you've explored areas that needed to be explored, especially with the rights of a woman. She'll only understand that if she does premarital counseling, right?
Yes.
You'll get into this field once you've understood what are your rights, what are his rights. And it will help you solve a lot of problems that usually comes with marriage. Sorry. So let's talk about social media. You're both advocates of marriage for a very long time with all challenges and relationships people face today, especially in the age of social media and constant distractions. Because the biggest complaint we usually get from our listeners is that mke wangu, that's what they say, my wife stays on TikTok and Facebook and all other social media platforms the whole day, forgetting her duties in the house. Once she comes from work, now it's time for social media. What kind of advice would you give? Because I understand you're also on social media, you're a mom and you're also a wife.
Yes.
How do you get to juggle with all those things at the same time and the balance? Basically,
Life is about balance. Life is about balance. What I feel a lot of people have done with social media, it has taken over your life. It has taken over real life communication, and you have to find a balance with that. If you find yourself neglecting your real life versus what's behind this LED screen, yeah, there's something wrong with that. It's a codependent addiction, actually. And we all have addictions, sugar, TV, social media, sports, shopping. We all have addictions. Social media is an addiction, and it should never come before your marriage.
And it's hard. I was, because of it's social media and you meeting all these other people, it's probably hard. But you got to put your marriage first. The problem is, if we don't put Allah first in our worship, we're not going to worship correctly. If you don't put your marriage first before social media or society, your marriage is going to suffer. So you got to put your marriage first. So sometimes you got to put down social media. And now if y'all both out there on social media, I guess we'll make it a little bit easier for you. But if y'all both are not, you gotta put your marriage first.
And this is something that we do in our counseling is we get to whatever the underlying issues are. So this is why we do a lot of listening. We do a lot of listening, and we get to the underlying issue. So if someone comes to us and tells us there's a social, and we've heard it because social media is a part, it's in those like top 5. So if someone comes to us and say they have a social media problem, we got to get to the underlying issue.
Yeah, but you hit on something. My wife just said we do a lot of listening. What we notice even when we're calling people, they don't listen. I heard something your wife said or your husband said that you didn't just get out of that. You know why? Because you're focused on you. Again, sometimes we got to come outside. We got to listen, literally listen, and then act. But we don't act after listening. We just act after hearing. That's not the same thing.
And why is that you're on social media for so long? One of the questions is, how does that make you feel? Like if you're getting this dopamine hit, you know what I'm saying? For people who vape or smoke cigarettes, nicotine or drink or different things like that, it's a dopamine hit. What they're looking for that high. And if that's how social media makes you feel, then we have to ask why. Why does that make you feel so good? What is it in your life and in your household that's not giving you that dopamine high?
We have to break you from that addiction.
I get a dopamine high when I see my husband cooks a lot. He was a cook in the military, so he does the majority of cooking in our home.
I'm about to go put on an apron right now.
Yeah, when he in there, whipping up some mushrooms and some onions and cleaning the kitchen and that type of thing, that's sexy to me. You know what I'm saying? That's me. That's a dopamine high. I'm in here like, what are you cooking? What's going on? I'm saying that's making me happy. That's better than any social media that I could ever do. You know what I'm saying? That's the type of thing. So what are you missing or lacking in your home that you feel that you're getting out of this social media? And how does it make you feel at the end of the day? At the end of the day, are you burnt out with just constantly scrolling?
Or just looking for that next high.
You're just looking. If you've shared, you've commented, you've done different things. How does that make you feel at the end of the day? You should feel happy with your relationship inside your home that you're done. I feel good. I'm running up and down the stairs. I'm washing clothes. I'm changing sheets. I'm cleaning, I'm sweeping, I'm mopping, I'm doing different things. People see me on social media, but I still have a clean house. So there's a difference. There's a way. There's something that's lacking when someone is on social media.
That's all it
like
is.
That.
That is all it is. If social media is taking over your household, it's something that's lacking that we got to put towards your household that you put into a social media.
So since we only have 2 minutes, I'll give you a minute of each. What's your advice to the listener who's listening right now about marriage in general? How are they supposed to survive marriage? Maybe there's someone who's listening to you right now that is going through a lot in their marriage. And if they're not going through a lot in their marriage, how to actually keep that love and understanding going?
Pick something good about your spouse that you like about them, or that you used to like about them. Maybe you don't like it no more, but we all change. Change with your environment, with your situation. My biggest advice I can give someone without knowing what their situation is we all change at different times. So be patient when that person is changing and try to understand.
Okay.
Mashallah.
Marriage is intimacy. And I'm just not talking about intimacy like couple type intimacy. Marriage is intimacy on an intellectual level. So get to know your mate.
Yeah, me and some of the guys had to learn that.
Yeah, get to know your mate on an intellectual level. And I tell people this, and a lot of guys have had a problem with it, but they come back to me after they understand it. Men have a feminine side. I done told you, woman. I didn't say they're effeminate or feminist or anything like that. Men have a feminine side. They need to tune into it. That is the nurturing side of the men. Just being masculine all the time can be a turnoff. There's ways to turn it on and to turn it off, but you've got to turn on into that, tune into that feminine side.
I would say your kinder side.
Yeah, that's what you want to say. You want to.
That's right.
Just
I gotta let these men know.
I say what it is. I say what it is
have.
because the man is the only one with the X and the Y chromosome. Okay, you're the only ones with that. So you have a feminine side, no matter how you wanna phrase that. But yeah, tune into that and tune into that intellectual intimacy, because when he hits me intellectually, we vibing.
Thank you so much for making time to come to our studios today. Penzi msikilizaji, hivyo ndivyo tunamaliza kipindi siku ya leo, dakika zikiwa 56 zimetoweka baada ya saa 3 kwa dau la weekend, ambapo shukrani za dhati ziwaende Rufus pamoja na Jenny Triplett, ambapo tumeweza kupata mambo mengi ya kujifunza kuhusu ndoa, upendo na jinsi ya kujenga mahusiano imara, na tunaamini kuwa mpenzi msikilizaji umeweza kupata kitu cha kipekee kutoka kwao. Kumbukeni, kama mnavyosema mpenzi msikilizaji, kila uhusiano unahitaji juhudi na kila hatua tunayochukua inaweza kuleta mabadiliko makubwa tena sana katika maisha yetu. Kwa hivyo, endeleeni kuwekeza katika ndoa zenyu, endeleeni kuwa na mawasiliano na wapenzi wenyu, na pia kila mmoja aweze kujitahidi kubaki na upendo wa dhati. Na kama mna maswali mpenzi msikilizaji, bila shaka unaweza kumfuatilia kwenye mtandao wa kijamii. If there is anyone who has a question, maybe your social media handles?
Oh, you can find us across social media, Facebook and Instagram at Rufus and Jenny, just how our names are spelled, at Rufus and Jenny. And find us on YouTube, guys, at Rufus and Jenny TV.
Mimi nafahamika kama Simba Jike Baharia, mpenzi msikilizaji, au Ramla Abdi Ahmed.